Welcome, Dr.
Welcome,
Fabian
Dr.
Ibeto.
Fabian
It's so
Ibeto.
good to have you
It's so
today. I'm
good to
so
have
sorry
you
for the
today. I'm
technical
so sorry for the
challenges that
technical
we're having.
challenges that we're having.
Also, apologies to the
Also,
audience
apologies to the
trying to
audience
listen
trying
to us,
to
and
listen to us,
they are able to join
and
us here.
they are able
Well,
to join
we
us here.
say much
We say
today.
much today.
So, what we want to discuss today
So,
is
what we
basically
want to
about
discuss today is
driving
basically
local
about driving
manufacturing,
local
writing
manufacturing,
area,
writing
looking at
area,
textile and
looking at
clothing,
textile
and
and
also
clothing,
industrial
and
design,
also
the
industrial
potential
design, the
of
potential for
agro-waste. So
agro-waste.
we have
So
a
we have a
well-experienced, vast and
well-experienced,
resource
vast
uh,
and resource
person,
uh, person,
distinguished personality in the house,
distinguished
the name of
personality in the
Dr.
house, the name of
Fabian
Dr.
Ibeto. I'm
Fabian
going
Ibeto.
to,
I'm going
give him
to,
a few minutes
give
to
him a few
introduce himself
minutes to
properly.
introduce himself
So
properly.
we get
So
into the
we
event
get
of the day.
into the
Dr.
event of the
Ibeto, you
day.
can have the
Dr.
floor now.
Ibeto, you can have the floor now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Tohib, for having me here. I'm, um, I'm so happy to be here, despite the challenges we faced for a couple of minutes ago. Yes, good morning, the audience. Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Fabian Ibeto from the Department of Agricultural Extension and Rural Development, University of Ibadan. And I'm in the Human Ecology Unit of the department. I specialize in textile and clothing. I have a strong background in the textile and clothing from the Federal University of Technology, Akure, where I studied industrial design with specialization in textile design. I did my first degree there, my master's as MTech, and finally my PhD. And I've been lecturing at the Department of Agricultural Extension and Rural Development, taking courses on textile, both undergraduate and postgraduate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for
Thank you
the
very much,
brief
sir, for the
introduction. I'm sure the
introduction. I'm
people listening
sure
to us
the
are
people
able to
listening
catch
to
on
us are able
that.
to catch on
So I
that.
just quickly want
So
to
I just quickly
warm up
want
the
to
environment,
warm up the
because
environment,
the
because
course that you've
the
studied
course that you've studied
is very
is
important.
very
But what we are
important.
seeing is
But
that
what
many
we are
people
seeing
might
is that
say,
many
okay,
people might
no, they
say,
want to
okay,
go study
no, they
something
want to
else.
go study something else,
Meanwhile, we are
and
having
meanwhile
opportunities
we
in
are having
the
opportunities in
um, at least today
um,
we
at
import
least today
about
we
$4
import
billion
about
worth of textile and
$4
clothing
worth of
materials.
textile and clothing
So if we
materials.
have people that are
So if we
studying this
have
and
people that are
going into
studying
that
this and
domain,
going into
then
that
they
domain,
could easily
then
make
they
a
could easily
career
make
living,
a career
business,
living,
and
business,
company
and
in this
company in
space.
this
What would you
space.
like to quickly say
What
on
would you
that, sir?
like to quickly say on that, sir?
Yeah, like I always tell people, every course is very important, and it's all about orientation. If you are properly orientated about the course you are choosing, or as some students will say, they gave me. So when they gave you, or when they give you, you have to reorientate yourself. Even myself, while writing JAMB and preparing for entering the university, I never envisaged I was going to study industrial design, not to talk about textile design. The situation changed my direction, and I accepted it. I embraced it wholeheartedly and put in my best into the study of the textile design. Today, I'm a lecturer in that same field that initially wasn't my design. So that's how life is. So my advice to students and youth is that sometimes it's not everything you plan that work out well for you. Sometimes situation has a way of redirecting you to your destiny. So when such situation happen, if you're able to embrace it and give it your best shot, I think after that you will you will be thankful that you did. Then the industry talking about the 4 billion, 40 billion, or whatever. I can't remember the figure you just quoted. Textile industry is a very large industry. It's a very large industry that and has a value chain that people can key into, from agriculture to finished products. You have a very long value chain in the textile industry. So people can, and it goes with a lot of job opportunities, creativities, and all these things. So you find out that it's a big industry that we shouldn't play with. But unfortunately, in this country, we have been playing with this industry, and that is why we are where we are today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the advice.
Thank you very much for the advice.
I'm sure people listening
I'm sure people listening to one or two things
they are studying, but the
not about
orientation,
what studying, but the orientation, especially
what that we have now is based on
what
the
that we have
skills
now is based on
what
the
you're able
skills
to
that
deliver,
what
your
you're able
value.
to
So I
deliver,
just want to
your
quickly
value.
connect
So I
with
just want to quickly
what you said
connect
about the
with
manufacturing
what you
sector.
said about the manufacturing sector.
So I'll put some
I'll put some
figures and some
figures
history
and some
of the manufacturing
history
sector so that
of the
people can know
manufacturing sector so that people can know what
get
is
along
happening,
with us, right? So
get along with
our
us, right? So
manufacturing sector
our manufacturing
contributes
sector
about
contributes
13% of our
about
GDP, right?
13%
It
of
has
our GDP,
a,
right? It
a rich
has
history,
a
but
rich
has faced
history,
also
but
tough
has
times.
faced also
The
tough time.
1960s and
The
1970s,
1960s and
Nigerian textile
1970s,
industry was
Nigerian textile
Africa's
industry was
second largest,
Africa's
and we
second
had
largest,
over
and we had
250
over
factories,
250
spinning out
factories,
vibrant
spinning
fibers
out
like
vibrant fibers
Akure,
like
Achiote,
Akure,
name it,
Achiote,
different
name it,
materials, and
different
employing
materials,
thousands of
and
people.
employing thousands of
But by
people.
the 1980s,
But by
the
the
horizon, the
1980s,
policy
the
shifts,
horizon,
and
the policy
infrastructure
shifts, and
challenges
the
like
infrastructure challenges like
unreliable power led
unreliable
to
power
a steep
led to
decline
a
with
steep decline with
smuggling. We are having issue of
smuggling.
smuggling
We are
as
having
well.
issue of
In
smuggling
fact, that's
as
what
well.
we
In fact,
will
that's what
discuss more of that
we
today.
will discuss more of that
Smuggling,
today.
cheap imports
Smuggling,
dominating
cheap
our market.
imports
So
dominating our
by
market.
2025
So
today,
by 2025
our
to date,
textile contributed
our
just
textile contributed
1.8
just
billion naira to
1.8
GDP.
billion
And
naira
today
to
we
GDP,
spend
and today we spend
$4 billion
$4 billion
annually but
annually
with
but
fabrics. But yet there is hope,
fabrics.
right?
But yet
Of
there is hope,
leveraging
right?
our cultural
Of
heritage
leveraging
to
our cultural
embracing
heritage to
cutting
embracing cutting
technologies like industrial
technologies
design
like
tools
industrial
and
design tools
agro-textiles
and
made from
agro-textiles
enough
made from
and
enough
pineapple leaves.
and
So Nigeria has a
pineapple leaves.
chance
So Nigeria
to
has a
claim its
chance
place
to
as a
claim its
manufacturing
place as a
powerhouse.
manufacturing powerhouse.
Innovations in agro-waste and
Innovations in
sustainable
agro-waste and sustainable
practices could create millions of
practices
jobs
could create
and
millions of jobs and
reduce our environmental.
reduce our
So today we will
environmental.
explore
So
what
today we will
went
explore
wrong,
what
how to
went wrong,
revive
how
the
to
textiles
revive
and
the
clothing
textiles and
and
clothing
and the essential
and
potential
the
of
essential
textiles. You know,
potential of
I'll
textiles.
just go to the
You know,
first question of the day.
our first question
Uh,
of the day. Uh,
Dr.
the
Ibeto
Dr.
must be
Ibeto
ready by now for me.
must be
So
ready by now for
uh,
me. So
I like to
uh,
ask this question.
I like
First
to
question,
ask this
Dr.
question.
Ibeto.
First question,
You know,
Dr. Ibeto.
Nigerian
You know,
manufacturing sector
Nigeria manufacturing
contributes
sector
contributing 30% of our
contributing
GDP
30% of our
has been,
GDP has been,
stifled by 4
stifled
billion
by
textile
4 billion
import bill,
textile import bill,
smuggling that captures
smuggling that captures
5% of West Africa's
5% of
textile
West
market.
Africa's textile
How
market.
can we disentangle
How
the
can we
complex interplay
disentangle
of
the complex
historical
interplay of
policy
historical
missteps,
policy
the
missteps,
infrastructural
the
deficit, and
infrastructural
global trade
deficit
pressure,
and global
to
trade pressure,
craft
to
robust
craft
strategy for
robust
reviving
strategy for
manufacturing as
reviving
the cornerstone of
manufacturing as the
Nigeria's economy?
cornerstone of
I'd like to hear
Nigeria's
from you
economy. I'd like to hear
on
from you
that. Thank you, sir.
on that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have done a very good background work for me. Uh, like you rightly said, textile industry have been a strong player in Nigerian economy for a very long time, but unfortunately, it has gone down because of so many policy somersault, inconsistency, and a total shift from manufacturing because of our planlessness as a nation. Oil is a blessing. You can see so many countries who have leveraged on the abundance of fossil fuel or oil to develop their nation. Um, you see what is happening in the Middle East. the Dubai and all this. You see, they have made money from oil and diversified. The challenge we have in Nigeria is that we are making money from oil, but we are not diversifying our economy. Take, for instance, textile you're talking about. Textiles start from agriculture because the almost 80% of the raw materials of textile come from agriculture. Now, the question is, where is our agriculture today? So these are some of those issues. Then you bring about the issue of the textile production going down. They are going down. They went down because of poor infrastructure, poor government support, and again, we the people as consumers, because textile entrepreneurs, textile manufacturers are businessmen, and when they produce and they are not proper, they are not sold, you find out that the business will be going down. Our attitude, our we believe that every we take pride that we are wearing imported materials, we are eating imported food and all this. So these are some of those things that contributed to the decline in textile industry. Apart from government planlessness about industrial setting in this country. Then you're talking about the issue of import. Yes, I can say smuggling. Talking about smuggling, smugglers are not spirits now. They are not spirits. They are passing through routes, and these routes are supposed to be manned by human beings, government agents who are paid to man those routes. So even if these testers are coming through the approved channel, you find out that Nigeria will make money from it. Apart from what we are using to import these goods, Nigeria will only make money from tariff from importing them. But when they are smuggled, you find out that Nigeria is losing in twofold. We are losing in the tariff, and we are losing in our industry being devastated by the effect effect of smuggling. So that's the thing, because you find out that what you are producing to sell, the price you will sell the products that you have produced here is even far higher than the smuggled product. And you know that consumers is like water; they will flow to the lower level. So that's how it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I like that you mentioned that oil is not a curse, oil is a blessing, right? It is one of the problems that we are having today. If we had saved and meaningfully used our proceeds from the past, to invest into the future and diversify appropriately, we wouldn't be where we are today. I also, love the fact that you mentioned that we are seeing double revenue loss. First of all, local production is giving way to importation, and when it is coming in, it doesn't come through appropriate channel, to earn tariff from it, right? It's being smuggled. So basically, we are losing earnings in both folds. So I'll just move on to the next question. Still relating to the decline of the manufacturing sector, the decline of manufacturing, particularly after the 2005 World Trade Organization, that was WTO, quota phase out that cost Africa 250,000 textile jobs, reflects a failure to adapt to global shift. Uh, what lessons from other emerging economies? We've seen economies that were able to meaningfully diversify, and function properly with, manufacturing and textile and clothing as well. Talking about Bangladesh, Vietnam. Could Nigeria? So I'm asking that, looking at these countries, what lesson could Nigeria apply to rebuild a competitive manufacturing ecosystem, particularly in terms of industrial policy and workforce skilling?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know that the world, we're in a global competitive world. No, there's no Father Christmas again. Just like what you see the President Trump is preaching now, tariff, tariff, tariff. the world is not after you. You have to take care of yourself. So Nigeria as a nation has to take care of itself. So the multi the multi-fiber agreement or arrangement that was scrapped in 2005 was giving quota to developing nation, the number of textile or the amount of textile they export to developed nation. Now, when they have been scrapped, it becomes a free for all. So when it becomes free for all, it's for you to protect your own end. And if we have not improved our manufacturing sector, improve our standardization, improve our quality, you find out that we cannot export. We can't export, so we cannot compete with other nations. That is why the likes of Bangladesh that you cited, Vietnam that you cited, China, and other Asian tigers, they have leverage on quality, they have leverage on technology, they have leverage on policy, well thought out policy of the government to make sure that they are big time here in the textile economy of the world. Then, for instance, Bangladesh is the second largest ready to wear garment maker in the world. They are only second to China. So you find out about, you look at the figure, the first five countries of the world that are the highest in the ready to made garment are China, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Turkey, and India. These are five highest producers of ready to wear garments. The question is, you look at all this, they have similar things in common, or one thing in common. That is large population, large labor. But they have been able to leverage on that large labor, because when your labor is large, it become relatively cheap. But we have large labor here also, but our labor is not skilled. So that's what they have leveraged in producing quality fabrics or garments that is acceptable in the world market. So if you produce your garment that is not acceptable in the world market, you find out that nobody will patronize you. And talk about it that even we the locals having difficulty patronizing our locally made fabrics. Talk more of external world that have alternatives to explore. So that has been the challenge. So if Nigeria really want to share from a large textile market that is in abundance, we have to retool our policies. We have to retool not only the policies, we have to, the policies I'm talking about right from educational institutions, subject matters, because you find out that how many textile courses do we have in Nigeria? How many textile departments? How many textile faculties? Some of these Asia countries have even textile universities. But in Nigeria here, we don't have something like that. So most of the people that do garments are informally trained. And when those guys are informally trained, there's a limitation to what they can do. So these are some of those challenges. So if Nigeria really want to be among the textile giants of the world, the potentials are there. We have the cotton, we have the environment for the cotton production. So it's for us to look at how we can improve on our processes, our skill set, looking at and the infrastructure, because you have all these things and the infrastructure is poor. You find out that you cannot do anything. Today, the world is shifting towards technology, the use of technology in doing everything, AI, Internet of Things, and all these things. So this is where we have to look into if you really want to be part of the world textile order. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I took a few punchlines there, talking about the challenges that we are facing. Number one is the skill, policy, and infrastructure, right? And I love that you said that we have the population. In fact, our population is relatively young, about the 70. Is it 70%? The population demographic, right? But the skill is important, and you've been able to trace it to the education, how we are training our people. Are we giving them, like you mentioned, for Bangladesh and some other countries, they have institutes focused on textile, focused on manufacturing. Do we have that here? right? Those are the things that we need to be working on, and for such thing to come in place, we need a very good policy, strategic policy towards that. We'll come to that shortly. And you also mentioned something of uh, that our product, is it competitive? Is it competitive enough? Right? In fact, it's one of the issue that we are having with this after agenda. The economic cooperation among African countries, right? If you are not able to compete, your country will basically just become a dumping ground, right? When you open your borders, they dump, and you lose from the whole cooperation agenda. So it's what we have to look at. So I'll just proceed to the third question. Meanwhile, for the audience listening to us here, having any question, you can start, placing them in the comment section. We would attend to them, and I'll move to the next question. Yeah. So, given that Nigeria's manufacturing sector could create over 2 million jobs, this is this is interesting because it's not every sector that can create this kind of job. They are saying, okay, invest in this, invest in that. But when it comes to jobs, comparing sector to sector, not every sector can uh, create this sort of level of job like manufacturing, like agriculture, right? So I want to ask that how can we balance short-term economic gains with long-term structural reforms, such as improving power supply and curbing 90% dominance of imported fabrics in our market? Because when you look at it, one of the major challenges in the manufacturing sector industry is power, and the other one is importation. So how do we balance the short-term economic gains with long-term structural reforms? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. In Nigeria of today, uh, power, the importance of power cannot be overemphasized. And when you talk about in production, in the manufacturing, power is key. And you know what we are passing through in terms of power today. Every industry, even as small as a barbing saloon, your first port of call will be to get a generator. If you don't get a generator, you have not started. So everybody is talking about power. Even when we are talking about renewable energy, there's limit to what renewable energy can do. Though researches are going on to amplify the use of renewable energy for industrial scale, but we will see how far that can go. So you can't run away from fossil fuel, and we have this fuel. It's all about the issue of policy. So in our for looking at the short term, government need to, or policy makers, not just government, both government, private sector, and all this, need to look at how well and how cheap they can sell power to industries. Then looking at creating industrial clusters. Uh, when you create industrial clusters, you find out that they can share resources. When they share resources, it becomes cheaper for them to manufacture. So these are some of the short-term measures you have to look at. Like I said earlier, that textile industry is a very large industry, and already a lot of people are employed in the textile industry. But the challenge is that we are not seeing the effect as a nation. We are losing more. But when I say a lot of people are employed in the textile sector, somebody asked me the other time, do you really have textile industry? I say, yes, we do. We're only lacking in the manufacturing aspect of it, because if you go across any street today, at least you see one or two persons selling clothes. But the question is, where are those clothes manufactured? So that's where the challenge is. So you look at that. So we have a lot of people in the retail stage of the value chain, retail stage part, then wholesale part, but manufacturing is what is lacking. And it's that manufacturing that have the capacity to employ more people. So at the long run, the issue of policy is key. You have to look at short run, middle, and long run policies concerning textile production. Uh, Now, Another problem has been added to the textile sector. That problem is lack of cotton because of insecurity. We have been talking about the issue of infrastructure and other policies. Now, another problem has been added to the textile industry. Now, farmers who hit will farm cotton are no longer farming cotton because are not even going to farm because of insecurity. You know that majority of the cotton are gotten from the northern part of Nigeria. So now that the what was it, bandits or terrorists don't allow farmers to farm effectively, you find out now we are now having the problem of sourcing the cotton, which is the mainstay of textile inputs. So the government at the long run must make sure that peace return to the farming community. If there is peace in the farming community, then you have raw materials. Because if you have farm, even if you set up the revive the industries today and they don't have raw material, you find out you have not actually achieved anything. So this is what I will say about how looking at the long term effect. Then the job will boom because there are a lot of job across the value chain. Are you going to talk about even in the haulage industry? Is it the design? Is it the weavers that you're talking about? Or those that will even service all these people? So it's a very big industry that can benefit everybody in this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thanks for buttressing the potential of the manufacturing and textile industry uh, in what it could achieve, the jobs, and also enlightening people when they say that do we really have a textile industry in this Nigeria, or we have a value chain. We are just basically playing a part in the value chain, which is not basically the production. We are playing the part of selling and consumption of finished materials, right? So it's what we have found in some other uh, commodities that we produce, the consumables into the mouth, like the cocoa and others that would sell out and consume, import back and consume as chocolate, right? And thanks for lending your opinion to the power issue. Power is really, really important. We can exploit different energy generating sources, not necessarily just dam, renewable energy and all that. But the main point is to make it available cheaply for production, to we don't have to be using fuel all the time, diesel and all that. In fact, it generates a lot of pollutants to the environment,
Yeah.
right? And it's toxic to the environment and to the people. So if you can uh, provide stable electricity, it's going to help us grow the sector properly. So my question is stemming to textile and clothing properly. We're discussing the manufacturing aspect, but although we've been touching here and there, right? So I'll descend into the textile aspect now. So will be my fourth question. So the textile industry, once Africa's second largest with over 250 factories, I've mentioned before, now contributes just 1.8 billion naira to GDP. I want to ask that how can Nigeria leverage its cultural assets like, Ashoke and Adire? It's just so unfortunate that, in this time of globalization, globalization of culture, we are sort of losing our cultural values, wanting to wear the foreign wears and all that, but that's not the case yet. So we are looking at how to leverage our cultural assets, cooperation between states for raw materials. Let me just quickly bring this in. It reminds me of the footwear industry, the cooperation between states. We have the largest footwear market in Aba. We have the largest leather making market in Kano, right? And there was this sort of
Yeah.
synergy then until now where everything is broken, to policy shifts, to tribalism and all that. I don't want to dwell into that, right? So I'm just asking, the cooperation between states for raw materials alongside modern industrial design to reclaim market share in global fashion industry projected to reach about $10 billion for Africa by 2027. How do we leverage our cultural asset to gain this potential market share?
Yeah. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We have a lot of what we call cultural or indigenous textile. You just mentioned Adire and the Ashoke. My masters, I worked on Adire in Abeokuta, Ogbomosho, and Ibadan. I've only done work on Ashoke that is produced in Iseyin in Oyo State. I've done work on Akwete, produced in Akwete community in Abia State. There's a Akwacha in Delta State, the Ogwashuku Axis in Delta State. There are so many other cultural fabrics that have been, you look at the work done and worn by Ibiras, the thief people, those stripes. So there are a lot of, even going towards north, you find out the whole piece dyeing fabric of Kanu, Axis. So these are all cultural fabrics that have been in existence in Nigeria that are well appreciated. But the challenge has equally been the issue of consumers' taste and lack of cultural icons. Though we have some sporadic cultural items, icons here and there. You can remember that when President Olusegun Obasanjo was the president, he was using Adire more often uh, as his normal clothing, official clothing. Then presently now, Governor Soludo of Anambra State, he uses Akwete as his clothes. So these are some of those things that promote these indigenous fabrics. I remember I think in Ogun State, the state government made a policy that staff should be wearing adire to offices, I think on Fridays or something like that. So we have some of the individuals who have tried to encourage the use of these fabrics. But another thing is the issue of production. Most of them are manually produced. And because they are manually produced, they are not produced at scale. And when you don't produce at scale, you find out that the unit of the cost of a unit will be very expensive. And if it's a very expensive, most consumers will not buy. This kind of economy now, people will look at, okay, what do I get? Patriotism goes with if your pocket is dry, there's a limit that patriotism can push you to do certain things. So it still has to do with they have to look at the issue of producing it in a way that it will be affordable to an average individual. And again, the technology behind it, like some of us are talking about that, Ashoke is heavy. So most people don't want to use it as a everyday wear. So what am I driving at? I'm driving at the issue of cost, the issue of technology in production. And again, uh, customers' willingness to adopt these fabrics. So once you bring this together, you find out that there'll be a boom in this indigenous or cultural textile. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, first of all, for expanding my view on the different types of cultural wares that we have, taking me from the west to the south to the north, right? And also highlighting some of the challenges with cost, technology, and, economics of scale to produce en masse and cheaply. And I really, really love that. And I was even going to ask something, but that would be for the later. But I just want to stem down to the skill. When you mention technology, and is one of the major challenges that we are having. So I just want to quickly ask this question about the industrial design. You know, industrial design. There's these tools that are being used to manufacture. To precision and en mass now. We are talking about the computer aided design and computer aided manufacturing, CAD, CAM, to enhance textile production efficiency. You know, uh, we have this is the standard practice in the world, but yet Nigerian mills, they struggle with adoption due to cost and skill gaps. How can we demonstrate to how how can we rather democratize access to these technologies and foster a design-led revival that integrates, traditional craftsmanship with modern manufacturing? We are not saying we just want to embrace modern manufacturing. We want to take the traditional part and merge it with what is modern. How can we do this?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, all over the world, what we term modern today started as traditional. But everything you say is modern today started as traditional. But the only thing that they were able to adapt technology into it and make it more, um, make it faster and become more rich. That's where computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing comes in. Because human being as human being we are, you tend to get tired. You tend to make errors. But once you have computer-aided design as a tool, you find out that it will reduce some of the human limitations. Take for instance, if a pair of jeans is designed now and pushed to the market, so you go there, you find out that all their pockets will look the same, all the leg will look the same, so everything about that garment will look the same and it will be mass produced. So because when they do the measurement, they do the cutting, they don't just cut one particular piece. They cut bundles. So you find out that because of that mass production, that's why industrial design comes as a background, as someone having background in industrial design. Industrial design is all about mass production. And it is technology that you use for mass production. Without technology, you cannot mass produce. So that's where we're having challenge. We're having challenge of poor technology, poor technology incorporation into our indigenous textile manufacturing. Until that is done, we'll still be lagging behind. We'll be seeing it as craft. We'll be seeing our local manufacture, local textile as craft, other than something that can bring billions and billions of naira into our national treasury. So that's the challenge. So seeing it as craft is not really, no, craft is more really to look at aesthetics, but you should go beyond aesthetics. So it should be market driven, looking at what the customers want and giving them what they want. So that's what I will say about. So and again, you know that investors go after where they will make money. So if the market is not there, if they are not sure that the market will be there, and they are not sure there's a policy that will protect their investments, no investor will come. We are talking about foreign direct investment. No matter how well you preach about it, they have to look at the investment climate of the nation before somebody will say. The calm and the card you are talking about is the investment that will bring it. It's not something that an average person will say, I want to go and buy and put, because it's all about total industrial structure. Because you have to integrate all this machine into your production for it to produce. So with that, you find out that the production will be better, it will be faster and cheaper. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, sir. I honestly agree as well that the government has to put in place enabling environment. Much of what we need to actually ensure these technologies are available and and accessible is to create an enabling environment that attracts the needed FDI. The government doesn't need to spend all the time, just create a roadmap. We have this sort of strategy. The business operating environment is safe. No one is coming to kidnap you, victimize you, right? You have some tax concessions and all that you are able to benefit from, and you can able to bring your expatriates, your expertise, to train our people to help establish the advanced technology, and it's very important, like you said, for producing in scale. So there was this discussion that I was having with someone recently. So they are saying that Nigeria should produce, we should produce for export. Now he's saying that, have you seen what China is producing, right? Okay, let's say that you are producing textile for export and China is producing for export. The sort of technology that they are using to produce, and if you both of you push your products into the market, will you be able to compete with China? So that's one thing that I was thinking about. That it's not just about producing; it's about producing to compete. Well, I understand that we have to first produce for ourselves, to consume when it's about food, but we can produce to export as well, right? So that's basically just to corroborate your point and to highlight the importance of technology in production and manufacturing. So I move on to the sixth question. And with 40% of Nigeria's imported second-hand clothing ending up in landfills, in fact, this is one of the problems that we have. This is one of the problems that we have with textile production: waste. So 40% of Nigeria's imported second-hand clothing end up in landfills. And you know, on a global scale, talking about the global textile industry, it generates 92 million tons of waste annually. So how can we reimagine, the whole textile value chain to prioritize circularity and reduce environmental impact while maintaining economic viability?
Yeah, thank you. If you are talking about second-hand textile waste, I think we should look at it totally textile waste holistically, whether it's second-hand or even made in Nigeria, if we still have um, textile waste, or even imported new textile waste. Yeah, that's where sustainability comes into play. We have to use our materials responsibly. Then the issue of repurposing some of our clothing um, will come into play. When you repurpose, before talking about recycling and all these things, if you repurpose, it means that, take for instance, that's what we call applique, we call patchwork. So after using certain clothes that have not faded, you can use it to make art materials for wall hangings to decorate your homes. That's another way of repurposing, instead of throwing it away or instead of burning it and all this. So it's a way of reducing the waste that we find itself in the land, or in the landfill, if I might use that word. So that's it. So repurposing is a key. Before now talking about recycling, because everywhere you recycle, there was still some element of transformation. But when you repurpose, you have less transformation of the original item. You only do a structural transformation, use it to do artwork and other things. So that's the way uh, we can go to reduce polluting our environment, because whatever that goes into the landfill, some of the chemicals that were used in making the fabric, they still seep down to get into our water level in the soil. And we end up taking the water through our borehole, through our rivers, and all this. So you find out that it's not helping us. So recycling is fine. Repurposing will help, and again, responsible usage of fabric. Or this is so that it will be, you don't need to keep buying, because the more you buy, the more you have more waste. So that's the way I will put it. Thank you.
So, dear the audience, you have it: recycling, repurpose, and responsive, responsible consumption. But
Yeah.
repurposing is much better than recycling in the sense that we are not uh, putting the wasted material to a new use. In that process, it can generate toxic materials, and it even it uses up resources again, right? So we are repurposing it into something still valuable without more changes to the initial nature of the material, and also its responsible consumption. If a study that I read, made me realize that a lot of people, they have clothes in their houses that they never wear again, but it's just there, and this is waste of environmental resources. Looking at the water, all these things, they come from agriculture. 80% of them, you know the seeds and all that, all wasted. So we have to uh, gear our minds and our values towards responsible consumption that is healthy for the environment, the ecosystem, and the planet, right? So if you are just joining us, just to give you a bit of recap of what we've discussed so far. We've talked on we started with manufacturing and stemmed down to textile. So we've talked on the challenges with manufacturing, and we also look at what we can learn from other nations. That after the 2005 uh, World Trade Organization you know, phase out quota, and that 250,000 textile jobs were lost in Africa. What some other countries were able to do, to bounce back, and they are doing, very nice today. And we also look at how we can, revive our manufacturing sector to create jobs that we know it for about 2 million jobs, right? You know, we are looking at we look at the issue of electricity, and we also look at the issue of smuggling. And Dr. Ibeto, rather, mentioned something that we are not even looking at there. He mentioned insecurity. Insecurity, very important. If you are not able to even produce the raw materials that you use for textile manufacturing in the first place, so what will you be producing, right? So the government needs to curb insecurity, and it is connected to what he also mentioned: enabling environment. Security is part of the enabling environment, right? Uh, is
Yeah.
very important. The enabling environment connected to attracting the needed FDI to put in place the required technology to be able to produce to precision and en masse to compete globally, right? So that our country, our continent is able to um, benefit from this globalization and bilateral trade, and our country and continent don't become a dumping ground. So these are the things that we've discussed so far. I'm going to move on to the seventh question. So basically, we are on agro-textile now. So I just want to, quickly mention again, if we are having any question, you can send in your question and all that. I see that uh, we're having quite a number of views, but we are so sorry that uh, moving from one platform to another has disenfranchised, audience, listeners, and wherever you are, just be rest assured that this discussion is being recorded, and you'll be able to have access to it in a later time and able to listen to it at your convenience, right? So I'll go to the seventh question of the day. We are looking at agro-textile. Dr. Ibeto has mentioned that 80% of the materials that we use for textile manufacturing comes from agriculture, right? So we are now looking at the potential of agro-waste and agro-textile in the textile and clothing manufacturing sector. So I give an example of agro-textile that is derived from kinaf and pineapple leaf, you know, pineapple leaf fiber, banana fiber, this even sort of offer a sustainable alternative to cotton, right? So, but the problem is that we've been exploring and exploiting this, but we've seen a 50% production drop in Nigeria since the 1980s regarding agro-textile. So, I'd like to ask Dr. Ibeto, what are the technical and economical barriers to, scaling agro-textile production maybe that we've experienced, and how can Nigeria position itself as a leader in this niche market?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, your concept of agrotextile might be a bit different from what agrotextile is all about. Yeah, agrotextile is actually the textiles that are used for agricultural purposes. That is the concept of agrotextile. They use for agricultural purposes from nursery to storage. But what you are mentioning in your question about other fibers, which we have termed as underutilized fibers. Some of them are called underutilized fibers. The fiber gotten from plantain or banana stem, fiber gotten from pineapple leaf, fiber gotten from coconut coir, that's the back of the coconut fruit, and so on and so forth. So these are all fibers that are gotten from those. So traditionally, when you talk about fiber now, everybody's mind goes to cotton, but there are fibers from every other plant that the jute bark is gotten from a popular ewedu that is popular in Yoruba land. So that is where you get jute fiber. So there are other ones, even hemp, the hemp that we only know as Igbo, smoking Igbo. The stem is used for fiber, but you can see in this country we emphasize on the smoking aspect of it. If even when the law enforcers get to the farm, they burn everything, and we don't talk about the stem that is very important for textile industry also. Now, looking at how to integrate it into mainstream textile production, that is where the challenge is. One of my students that I sent to do work on coconut coir, he went to a sister institution to talk about whether they have equipment or not. So they don't have any equipment. Some of them don't even know anything about it. So that's what we're doing. So researchers, I think this is a time for researchers and innovators to come together to get those equipment. It's already existing in other countries. Some of these Asian countries, you can see equipment they are using for another even underutilized fiber is bamboo. You know this bamboo. Here we use it to do scaffold, used to as a yam steak and all these things. But in Asian countries, they're already using this bamboo to do textile. So there's a lot of materials that can be used to do textile. So that's where research and development comes in, and collaboration between scholars and scholars, collaboration between scholars and industry. So there must be a synergy between these these critical stakeholders in textile production, if we are to make breakthrough in all these underutilized fiber. And when you bring those underutilized fiber, you find out that we don't have much cotton in the south, but we have much coconut in the south. We have much plantain in the south. I mean, south of Nigeria. We have much pineapple in the south. So it will be a sort of balancing the cotton you have more in the north. So when you look at some of these underutilized fiber, uh, bring them forward, and blend them even with cotton. You will get a different kind of fabric that will give you strength, that will give you comfort, and any other qualities of the fiber you need. So what I'm saying is that there must be synergy. There must be synergy between scholars, industry, government, and other and investors for us to have the input of underutilized fiber into our textile production. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for emphasizing the difference and for the agro tester and the waste from agriculture, and also giving some examples of some of the crops, that have this textile potential. The hemp, basically, mostly used as smoking substance rather than utilizing the stem, right? It brings the opinion that we should look more into utilizing the stem. And you mentioned something that caught my attention, the cocoa pit. Talking about we don't really have cotton in the south, and cotton is more in the north, right? And we actually have this agricultural waste and residues that we could actually exploit. So the cocoa pit itself, I've seen that is used for nursing of seeds, seedlings in greenhouses and for open field cultivation. But what we see is that much of it is being imported from places like India, China, and um, countries around Bangladesh, and but we have a good number of trees in the south, the coconut trees. And when we even use the waste, apart from eating the flesh of the coconut, when we want to utilize the core of the shell, we either use it for cooking, as a source of energy rather than adding value to it. They turn this cocoa pit to mats. I've seen when they use it to make mats, make different house decorations, and those they fetch more values rather than just you are literally burning it and generating more greenhouse gases, right? So uh, I just want to quickly connect the hydro textile with its potential for curbing emissions. The global textile industry accounts for 8 to 10% carbon emission, and it uses 8,000 liters of water per pair of jeans, right? So now that we are saying, okay, we are utilizing banana waste, pineapple waste, and all that, how can agro-textile combine with agro-waste innovations help Nigeria address these environmental challenges while creating value-added products for domestic and export markets? Thank you.
Yes, agro agro waste are very, very critical. When you innovate, you find out that solving critical problems. Like my PhD, I worked on the use of crab shells. That's what I worked on my PhD. The use of crab shells and neem extract to produce or to finish fabrics against microbial effects. So that's part of what we call medical textile. So these crab shells were collected from Lagos sea market, seafood market. So you find out that people buy the crab, they extract it, and throw away the waste. And that is agro waste. So I'm giving you a typical example. It's something that I have done before. So a lot of different kinds of agro waste can actually be plowed back into production cycle instead of allowing them to pollute the environment, cause environmental nuisance. So when you bring it and all these things, so you can utilize them apart from those that can just like talk about the banana stem we talked about initially. So traditionally, we just cut the banana fruit and leave the stem there, probably as manure. But when you weave the stem or you prepare the stem into fiber and use it to produce it, you find out that you are, apart from making money from the fruit, you're actually making money and creating more job for those who will handle the fiber. So there should be further collaboration and work on all those agro waste and find out those ones that fit into use in textile production. So once that is done, you find out that a lot of people will be making money, smiling just from debt to wealth. So instead of from waste to wealth, that mantra of waste to wealth is always there. So the scholars, we should not shy away from looking at those agro waste. Nothing is actually a waste because what you call a waste is a raw material for another cycle of production. So it's not a waste. There's no agro waste. But it's for us to look at how to put those wastes into reasonable production processes. So once that is done, you find out that the textile industry will still be booming. There are a lot of agro waste that can be plugged back into textile production. I'll give you an example of what is it, crab shell, which I use for my PhD work. Uh, Neem leaf. Neem leaf is not, rather you use it as a local concoction, which we know in Yoruba land as agbo. But it can equally be used because using it as agbo was what inspired me to say, okay, can I use it to at least get some antimicrobe that it contains and combine it with uh, chitosan obtained from shells and use it to treat fabric, and that was treated, and microbes were incubated with them, and it showed significant uh, can good effect in testing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. You've mentioned the steps that we should take, in actually uh, utilizing the agro waste, identifying crops that have potential and also developing processes to actually turn those waste into agro textile, right? And you mentioned a couple of it, the name that you've used. I also have seen a lady that is converting eggshell eggshell into calcium incorporated into poultry feeds, and also is to support uh, is to provide nutrients to plant as well, especially for plants that are like fruits, tomato, that they need solid cell wall, so that the cell wall is not impaired by pathogens, microbes, and all that. Right. So basically, we have highlighted this, but I want us to put more flesh into it, right? And uh, we've discussed about it previously during the manufacturing section, talking about how the government can create enabling environment and all that. So I'm sort of looking at the public-private partnership and international collaboration to actually drive innovation in this agro-textile. What role can Nigeria play in setting global standards for sustainable textile production? Number one is this question. Is embedded with two questions. Number one is how we can facilitate public-private partnership, to actually catalyze comprehensive agro-textile production. That's one. And number two is what role can Nigeria play in setting global standards, for sustainable textile production? I'd like to hear from you, sir.
Yes, sustainable textile production. We are talking about where your textile production does not harm environment or harm humanity. Like I always talk about that sustainability is about don't don't eat what you will eat tomorrow today, and equally eat enough today to be alive to face tomorrow. So you have to balance our production uh, skills, balance our production procedures, Sometimes you see some industry discharging their effluent directly into stream or rivers. So all those production practices should be stopped, should be checked. It still goes back to government policy. There are some agencies that are charged for managing our environment, making sure that our industrial uh, effluents are properly treated before they are discharged to the environment. So I think that is those charged with those responsibilities should be serious enough with their work to make sure that our environment is not debased because textile production a lot of chemicals. And these chemicals, if they are not properly, some of them, if they are not properly managed, can be injurious to man and the environment. So that's why we really need to take care of our environment and equally take care of those who are doing it. Because sometimes you find people working in the textile industry who are not properly clothed, not properly clothed. Some of them working in the weaving floor, without their earplugs. So over time, the person working there will become deaf. So these are some of those challenges. So sustainability is all about making sure that those who are working there working on agro-textile, about the issue of collaboration. You know, in this our country, it's difficult for you to see people doing endowment. In overseas, in the Western world, people do endowment. People do endowment on the cause they believe in. They put down money. So embark on this research. But it is lacking in this country. You want to do research, we as university lecturers and other scholars, we practically do research with our money, with our salary. It's not done, it's not like that in other countries. So people do put down their money for research. And if you are doing research with your salary, you agree with me that there's a extent you cannot go as a scholar because you are going to do that research with your salary, with your money. The money is supposed to use to feed your family. So these are some of those challenges. So what I'm saying is that the our our public spirited individuals who have made money should to at least endow certain researches that will benefit mankind, certain researches that will benefit the environment, certain researches that will benefit our heritage, our cultural heritage. So if those endowments are done or research, I remember when we talk about first bank chair, when first bank we do endowment for people in the scholars in computer science, and that was when computer science was new in Nigeria here. So that money was to prepare people to go into research in that area. So we're looking at institutions, financial institutions, textile companies. They can encourage scholars to go into such research. And once that is done, you find out that a lot of people will compete for the fund and they bring out groundbreaking researches that can improve our textile sector, be it agro-textile, be it traditional textile, be any other part of textile we are talking about. So let's public spirited individuals and even government can to help and make some endowment that will help researchers to move towards that end. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. I like the way you answered the two questions, extensively. The first aspect is in ensuring sustainability, the importance of regulation, to ensure compliance with waste disposal and proper waste disposal and proper waste management, right, on the part of the manufacturing companies, the people, and stemming to the private partnership, talking about the importance of supporting scholars, in which you mentioned that the companies themselves, they can actually support scholars to undertake research that is also beneficial to the company themselves. It's not uh, sustainable for scholars to use their salary to embark on researches, right? And you call on the government to also aid in this department. I like that, and I also call that there should be this sort of mutual collaboration across, you know, industry sectors, to share knowledge, share resources that brings a sort of cooperation, innovation, that catalyzes growth of agro-textile and the textile manufacturing industry itself, right? So, we are good on time. We just spent 10 1 hour 10 minutes, and we are moving to the question that we started with. When you were talking about, you were advising the youth, you know that is not what you study, is how you are able to use what you study, the value, the orientation, and so we are looking at the opportunity for youth in the value chain of the textile industry, talking about agro textile, the textile itself, industrial design, and all that, agro waste use and that. So I like to ask this question. The textile and clothing industry offers significant opportunities for Nigerian youth, with potential to create millions of jobs. How can we empower young entrepreneurs and designers to enter these sector rather, leveraging Nigeria's cultural heritage and growing growing global demand for African fashion, while addressing, that there is this constraint of access to capital and training. So how do we support our youth, to partake in this space and bring out
Yeah.
solutions while addressing these barriers of access to capital and training?
Yeah, thank you very much. Entrepreneurship, like I said from the beginning, um, textile industry has a value chain that start from industry of that start from agriculture or farming, stroke laboratory to finished product, that is to market or to the consumer. Because apart from fibers and other materials gotten from agriculture, you probably have some significant fiber and chemicals gotten from the laboratory stroke industries. So you have a enough value chain. So if you talk about entrepreneurship on agricultural aspect, then the farming is there, farming of cotton, farming of other fibers, marketing of those fibers, being an extension agent. These are all youth entrepreneurship that where youth can plug in and be part of the textile value chain. Now, from industry to there's a lot of opportunities in freelancing. You freelance in design, you can design fabric. The world today has become a global village. So you can be in Nigeria today and design for industries that are overseas. So you design and sell your design to industry overseas. You talk about marketing, social media marketing. A lot of youths are exploring that in making sure that they take part in the textile global industry. So from there to even garment making, all you need to just you have your sewing machine, you become a designer if you are properly trained. There's a difference between designer and a tailor. I always tell my students, when you are properly trained, you are a designer, but if you are not properly trained, you are just a tailor. So these are some of those issues. So when, yeah, yeah. So when youth they have opportunities that they can explore in the textile value chain, there's no doubt about that. Research has shown that because textile is one of the things that we see it every day. It's something that we see every day because apart from air, like I always tell people that I place even textile above food. Because if you are hungry and you are naked, you will first clothe yourself before looking for food to eat. So it's only if you're not breathing that you don't know what textile is doing for us. So textile is something so important that you cannot do without textile and clothing. So the market is there. It's for us to solve those problems. So if we can take care of smuggling, take care of this, you will find out that there will be so many work for all of us in the value chain to do. Like somebody like me now, I have taken my own value chain is education, textile education. So these are all value chain that we can even leverage on and make job abundant to our youth. Then the issue of capital. Um, the one of the problems we have in this country is policy somersault, which I have said earlier. The past government talk about you win, made you win as a way of empowering the youth and all these things. Then after that, subsequent government abandoned it and went into another way. That you win was able to give capital, provide capital for some youth to get engaged in textile production, agricultural production, and other ones. But over time, you see that government has veered into another. So it doesn't matter whether the government in power is the same person or the same party. There's nothing wrong that continuing a policy that is good, irrespective of who started it. At least we have Nigerian police, we have Nigerian army. Well, it's not this present government or the past that started it. So all those institutions continued. So nothing stopped present government or any other government that will come in future from looking at those things that are good that the past government has started. So the youth might have ideas, but they might not have the capital. And most of them cannot get capital from the bank because you don't have collateral to get capital from the bank. So the government, just like we said that the CBN is a last lender, lender of last resort. So government also owing the CBN, owing the Bank of Industry, sometimes for you to even get money from Bank of Industry is a problem. So those agencies have a way of liberalizing the access to capital for the young ones so that they can equally get involved in the manufacturing sector. So I don't know, before I even leave this, another thing is the issue of empowerment. Our political class should desist from this using of motorbike as an empowerment for our youth. So you find out that most of the youth who are supposed to be involved in gainful employment will abandon it and go into for bike riding, Okada riding, or popular Okada riding, or this. So you find out that even those who have learnt one work or the other have abandoned it, looking for quick fix. Yes, Okada riding, quick fix, you might get it there, but if you properly establish your company, you find out that it's a company that you can pass on from one generation to generation. So that's what we are talking about. So when you have a clothing line, like most of the clothing lines we are talking about that are very popular in the world today, it's not the original owners that are still operating it today. So they have passed it on from generation to generation. So it's still very, very possible in our climb if the proper things are actually done. So if our youth are properly empowered, since I've been in this department, what I did is I've set up a fashion club. Apart from taking our students in the class, normal university regulated lectures, we created a fashion club so that the interest of the students can be aroused into fashion related enterprises and entrepreneurship. So that's what we have done. It's similar to what people did when computer was relatively new in Nigeria. You have a lot of computer club, you have a lot of computer schools and all this. So when we create this kind of institute and schools, you find out that the interest of the youth will be channeled towards fashion or textile entrepreneurship. Another important factor I want to raise is the way we address textile training or vocational training in this country is wrong. is what have been placing, making people not to go into that field. You find a situation that says if somebody is not doing well academically, say, no, go and learn work. You should go and learn tailoring. You should go and do this. So if you assume that the sector is for never do well individuals. So it is a very wrong perspective to pushing people to where you feel that they can do better. We don't have the same capacity, but there's no less, the sector doesn't need less people with less capacity. It needs people with high intellectual capacity to be in that field. But the moment you start labeling it as a sector that is not for uh, well endowed individuals, you find out that the best individuals will not be there. The best individual will not want to go there. So our youth should be addressed the way that this is a lucrative sector that many people can go and have their money. Bangladesh today is in the world map because of tech clothing. It's not because of oil. It's not because of defense industries. It's because of clothing. So our policy makers, our opinion leaders should be able to encourage the youth to go into this area because it is profitable, not because they feel that maybe they couldn't do well in other areas. That's why they will tell them, okay, go and learn clothing or go tailoring, go and learn fashion design because you cannot do well. No, you should be go and learn fashion design because it is lucrative. Lucrative. Once people know that it's very, very lucrative, you find out that a lot of people will come into that field. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. In fact, I was just, you know, being very silent to properly absorb this last part. In fact, I'm so privileged. It's a huge opportunity to listen to you because I've learned a lot today. I'm an audience here. I've learned a lot about the textile industry and some of many of the challenges we have, what we should be doing. And I like that what you are doing is not just partaking in the value chain of of the textile industry, textile education, but you're actually putting it into practice. The excursion, the club that you say you are creating to expand the minds of our young people, of our youth, to be able to see the sector for the opportunities and possibilities that are there, you know, for the lucrativeness and what they can achieve. I thank you so much for that. And I also like the fact that you said that we have to change the narrative. And what we have been discussing over time today is the skill debt, skill gap, right? And one of the major issue is because the right people are not manning the sector, right? It's been the industry rather is being seen as is for people that don't have, well, okay, if you can't get this course, just go to this place. Meanwhile, it's the reverse that we need. We need people that are
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Go ahead. Hello? Yeah, if you can hear me, you can nod. If you can hear me, you can nod. Okay, I can't hear you. Should we round up? Oh.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Was that not audible since?
No, I didn't hear you at all.
Oh, should I repeat myself then?
No, there's no need. We can take the last question so that we
All right. So
can
the
move
last
ahead.
question will just be like, no. Let me just quickly repeat. Don't worry. Like I said, that you started
Okay.
strong and you are finishing strong, and I love the fact that you are not just saying it. You are practicing it, giving this textile education and also experience. Taking young people, the students, the youth, on excursion, creating club. To expand the mind of the people for possibilities, opportunities in the sector, to see the value chains and the lucrativeness in the industry, right? So, and I said I was even going to ask you a question regarding policy and mentorship, in which your answer already addressed that, talking about policy inconsistency and somersault, that is impacting the industry negatively, and the importance of policy transition in ensuring that policy like you win, that is giving young people capital access, to continue. What we need now is not about breaking policy. We need to upgrade it. In fact, we need to expand the capital available to our young people. And you mentioned how the industry is being seen as a leftover industry. Like if you are not able to get the discourse of it, if you don't have work, okay, go and settle for this discourse or this industry, right? It shouldn't be so. We've been talking about this for some time now during this course of event, that one of the major challenges that we are having is issue of skill. And one reason that we are having that is that the people not having the right skills are the people that are being pushed to that industry, which shouldn't be the case. This industry, it needs people with high knowledge, technical capacity, expertise, to be able to push innovation, push the frontier, undertake meaningful research, and you know come out with value added products for us, that helps to create jobs, income, revenue, right? And I also love that you mentioned the aspect of the mentorship. The mentorship is important. It's not just about telling people that there is opportunity here, or that how are you going to make use of these opportunities, right? Giving them this proper management knowledge, agribusiness knowledge, to be able to exploit opportunities meaningfully, and uh, establish something for themselves. So basically, that would be the last question that I want to ask you. But I just want you to just briefly give us like 1 minute advice, that you have for the youth. You started with that, but I want you to come up stronger on that again, because if is only what they will listen to in this space, then they should be able to take this 1 minute home, and it's going to have significant impact on their lives and career. What would that be, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to tell the youth and whoever that is listening, it's not just only the youth, whoever that is listening and whoever that care to listen, is that textile industry is industry that clothes man, is industry that show how decent you are. That is why you have this saying that you are dressed the way you dress. You are dressed the way you dress. So it's an industry that is ageless. It can't go away. So if you are part of that industry, you find out that you cannot go away. Your source of income will not go away. So get involved. There are across value chain. You can get involved. You can be a pattern designer. You can be a garment maker by having a sewing machine, and continue from there. You can be a merchant. You can even online marketing. You don't need to even own the fabric. All you need to do, liaise with outlets, take the pictures, put on your Facebook page, put on your social media page. You find out over time that business has started already. So these are some of those things. And again, apart from the youth, I equally want to advise that the government, our policy makers should prioritize or equally give a sense of belonging to textile profession, be from educational institute to industrial policy issues. Take, for instance, over the years, there have been this textile revival, textile revival, textile revival. It has been recurring without having any tangible results. It's simply because they are making political statements. 50 billion, how many dollar? Last now, the last one now is the federal government trying to revitalize cotton, garment, and textile industry. So it's all about just bringing out the policy. Let us see this policy implemented. Once this policy is implemented, you find out that it will have a multiplier effect in every other sector, be it in our movie industry, be it in our indoor music industry. Those who are designing those costumes, who are sewing those costumes, they are all value chain actors. So you find out that, take for instance, where are we getting the fabric that we are using to sew our paramilitary institutions? Where are we getting them? Look at the sheer number of the police and all these uniformed men we have in this. Where are we getting the fabric we are using to sew? Who is sewing it? So these are the questions that is begging for answer. These are questions that are begging for answers. So if government really want, this is an industry that will pay back to the economy. Before, textile industry was only second to a public service or civil service in employment, but today is far, far, far behind. So reviving the industry will be to the best interest of the government, of the leaders, because a lot of people will get back to work, and the economy will be better for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that resounding closer. And I really like that. Just to corroborate what you've said, the manufacturing sector, like we've said before, is a big contributor to the GDP, about 13%. But what we are seeing is that, just in a Q1, first quarter of 2025, it grew by 1.69% year on year from the, previous uh, previous year rather and quarter, the same quarter. And also when we look at over 5 quarters, previous 5 quarters, we see that it grew by 1.29%. The trend is just, it keeps decelerating and it's not growing. When we look at the FDI as well in Q fourth quarter of 2024, right? I mean in Q1, that was 2025, Q1 2025 first quarter, um, FDI plummeted to $128.2 million. It was a very sharp decline, from $421 million that we recorded in the previous quarter. And this marks the lowest quarterly inflow since quarter two in 2022. So this is a very depressing trend. And irrespective of what we are seeing here, we've been able to establish that no, the sector, irrespective of the decelerating trend that we are seeing, uh, is filled with opportunities, possibilities if we are able to structure the policies right, the enabling environment, for capital attraction, for youth participation, for research, for innovation, right, for collaboration, partnership, and all that. We could get uh, meaningful uh, meaningful development, progress, yield from this industry and sector. And it's very important, like the special guest has said, that the government stop paying lip services to the industry. It starts to be backing political talk with political commitment and political will, right? You know, put your what did they say? Is it put your money where your mouth is or something? And
Yeah, yeah.
we are seeing
Put your
that we
money
are
where your
seeing
money is.
we are seeing that the impact of the industry is not just localized, like it touches on everyone, even the people in the leadership position in the paramilitary forces, right? Like you mentioned, putting on the wears from textiles and all that. So this should motivate us, right? So and for the people listening to us and youth looking for how they are going to participate, Dr. Ibeto has offered, brilliant advice, practical steps, and expose or expand our view to the opportunities and possibilities in the space, right? And you know, see yourself different. You don't see yourself as a tailor. You see yourself as a designer. You're able to apply your education to things here, right? So we've been able to touch on a lot of things and expand the whole industry. So I really want to thank Dr. Ibeto, for doing justice to today's discussion. Is really interesting to me personally, and I trust it is for people that are being also this um, particular event was brought to you by the Last Gidi Farmer podcast. We do all this kind of discussion weekly and from time to time as well. And and we bring important guests, knowledgeable guests, as you can see based on the discussion that we've had. That help you understand all these things. So, and just to quickly introduce our guest speaker again, Dr. Fabian Ibeto is a lecturer at the Department of the Agricultural Extension and Rural Development, University of Ibadan, specializing textile and clothing, if I'm correct, right? So I say thank you so much, and this discussion is being recorded. It has been recorded, so if you don't have privilege of listening from the beginning, you can always listen later when it's published. We'll always share information, update on it to you. So I thank you so much, Dr. Fabian Ibeto. I hope to see you again for interesting discussion on the space on the platform.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here and be willing to come back again if you oblige me. So, like I said, I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you
Yeah,
and keep up the good work. Last Gidi Farmer.
yeah. I would always oblige you. I would always oblige you. And meanwhile, I was going to throw this up in personal, but I just wanted to discuss here. And I really want to be a part of this textile physical efforts to making things right. I was looking at what can we do at the department, at the university level, and some other initiative that would contribute positively to the growth and development of this industry.
Yeah, 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 you're welcome. I'm very always open for collaboration, and we are working towards expanding our scope and making our mark felt. I'm a passionate person. Whatever I do with passion. So when it comes to clothing and textile, I'm in. I'm ready to collaborate with anybody, everybody. So that's my own. Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. Then I will see you at the university to discuss more on it. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay, do
that's
do
good.
have a lovely day, sir.
You too. Thank you.